Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The one and only Sydney Sweeney joins us. Sydney, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Tom Hanks and Robin Wright in my favorite movie of the year. Guys, thanks so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
One of my all-time favorites, Vince Vaughn, joins us right now. Vince, thanks, man.
Oh, great to be with you, Brad, and great to be talking to Houston. Good morning to you.
We got Owen Wilson. We got Judy Greer. Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thank you.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
We got Anna Sawai joining the show. Anna, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk to me funny, lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Paris Hilton, the infinite icon herself, is on the show. Paris, love the film.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Brad Gilmore! Well, joining me right now is one of the stars of a play and production that is going on right now at the Theater Under the Stars here in Houston. It's called Spamalot, and the man joining me right now is Leo Roberts. Leo, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on, Brad.
Okay, so we were talking a little bit before, like very briefly before we started, and obviously ESPN is where I call home, and you were like, "Oh, it's interesting that we want to talk about a theatrical production, and things." But I actually think that a touring actor is very much like a professional athlete in this sense.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you're in a different city all the time. You do the travel. You're not sleeping in your bed. You're sleeping in a hotel room. You got to figure out where to eat, where to work out, and then I still got to go through my pre-show ritual. No, it's a physically taxing thing that it is to travel, and I just think that there's a comparison there to be made.
And there's also the occasional 4 a.m. that you have to get up and do press for. So, hey, I see you, and I feel you. No, it's funny that you say that. I mean, honestly, that's the story of my life. I've spent my whole career really battling between whether or not I'm an athlete or whether or not I'm an actor in performance, which I think is a fascinating subject. It's definitely the story of how I've come to be in this industry. I mean, speaking of which, of the maintenance that you have to do as a stage actor in order to just stay fit. I mean, in my last gig, I was sword fighting 8 times a week, and that was callousing on the body. And you try and tell me I'm not an athlete doing that. So, yeah, I mean, the schedule is super demanding, and particularly this show is always 120% the entire time. So if your lungs aren't ready, you really are going to fall flat on your face.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. You have to be in shape. You have to be in shape to do this job, and it's a mental taxing as well as it is physically, right? I mean, just to be able to get up and, again, to use my sports analogy, but freaking LeBron James on the Lakers, right? He's got to be able to get up and get things done at the same level every single night. He can't take a night off. He's got to be able to give 100%, and that's what you all have to do as well.
And he's a tall guy. That's a lot of spinal rolls just to get out of bed,
Absolutely. Well, okay, so let me ask you this. When you touch down to a city, let's say like Houston, and you're going to go do Spamalot or Miss Doubtfire, Shrek, any of the productions that you've been a part of, like what's the morning ritual routine or pre-show routine? Like, what do you go through?
All right, well, first things first, I get up and I smash one of these. I'm not sure everybody else can see that, but that was a coffee.
It was a double. Great clarification.
Specifically a double espresso. I normally do that depending on what season I'm in. I'm a big marathon runner. I'm currently not in season, but I would normally go for a run just to get my body warm or head straight to the gym, and that really kickstarts my day. We have a lot of our days free unless it's a double show day. So really, you're having to conserve a lot of your energy to be on at night. So you got to make sure that you don't ever go too far, because otherwise you'll find yourself in a deficit for the day. Routine wise, though, honestly, it's important to prioritize where you can rest. That really is fundamental, because the thing is about being on the road, and all you guys will know about this, burnout is real after about 2 months of doing anything. So we've got to make sure that we bring it to every single evening and matinee performance, including the fact that our days off are usually a travel day. So really there is no rest for the wicked. So everything really revolves around your health. And that isn't just physical health. That's actually just making sure that you can go again and deliver the same performance fresh. So the routine is very much the same most days. You wake up, you eat well, you go to the gym, you do the show. And then on your day off, you eat some nice barbecue. That's
especially if that's available to you, you got to do it.
We did that Monday. It was great.
I hope it lives up to the billing.
It did.
Here in the Lone Star State. Great to hear. But and then when we talk about Spamalot, I've had the privilege of talking to John Cleese before and getting to interview him. And he's so legendary for what he's been able to do, obviously with Monty Python, the Holy Grail, but his career is immaculate, second to none when you talk about comedic actors. And to me, when you take on something that, has not just his DNA, but everybody who is a part of that original Monty Python production and the Holy Grail into Spamalot, I feel like there's a certain level of pressure to make sure we live up to the great names of guys like John Cleese and others.
So you would think, right? However, it very interestingly, Eric Idle wrote this show, one of the original Monty Pythons as well. And I play a lot of his characters. I don't play the knight that he plays, but I play Dennis before he turns into Sir Dennis Galahad in Mud Village. And if you look at the movie text, it is copy and paste the exact same thing. Now, there is something wonderful that happens because I get to read that text, and guess what? No matter what, that text is going to be funny because it's well written. So actually, all you've got to do is just say the blooming lines, and you're going to find that it's going to lift off the page and the audience are going to laugh. And we've never, ever not squeaked a laugh for that scene. So as intimidating as it might be to deliver the Monty Python language, it actually just works because it's so clever. And also, one thing that is always, I play the Black Knight in Act 2 as one of the characters that I play. People want to say, "'Tis but a flesh wound" to me before I've even said the line. And so there is a whole generation and a whole audience that is anticipating what I'm about to say. And all the pressure goes off at that point because it's just fun. And I think that one thing that is particularly fun about it is even when it goes wrong, it's even better.
Wait, in what sense do you mean?
Well, we have these little moments in the show where our director says that the gates open. And when the gates open, it's sort of this time that you can allow space to improvise and allow whatever happens next to leave your mouth. And if you've seen the show, there's definitely a lot of moments dotted around Monty Python that you can see this happen in Spamalot. And when it does happen, it's particularly funny because we're a very silly show that takes itself very seriously. But you don't know that.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how does this production? You've done so much in your career. How does it? Playing something that can be so silly and freeing in that way, right? Where this dialogue is going to work, we're going to have a laugh every night. Have you noticed that it's in different cities, people have reacted to different parts of the show? Or is the show just so succinct that people are going to laugh in the same spots?
Oh my goodness, that is an hour-long conversation if I want it to be. I think it's the most wonderful part about touring with any production, that you get to bring it to the different states and different communities within America because every audience is different. A Washington DC audience right now, while I'm talking about politics in my first scene, is reacting completely different to Houston that's laughing their head off, within the exact same context. And sometimes sometimes people are really shocked by the comments that we make and this, that, and the other, but it's all just good banter. So I think it's actually what makes it special. And if you ever find that a scene didn't quite reverberate the same way that you're used to with that sort of ginormous laughter, the next scene will hit even more. It's important that we take our audience on a bit of a roller coaster, because we can wear you out, because you will belly laugh the entire time. If you don't come and watch our show and leave laughing, you're probably quite depressed. That's what we always say.
Well, I mean, I can tell, obviously, you love doing this show. I mean, it's just a privilege to perform in general, but especially material that you find so pleasant to be able to go out there and deliver on stage. How is this show juxtaposition against something like Miss Doubtfire or Les Mis or whatever? Like, what are the different feelings this show has for you as the performer than some of the other titles that you've been involved with?
Well, something like Les Mis is all completely sung through, so there's no spoken dialogue, and it's it is by the title The Misérables, so it is a bit of a long, callousing, beautiful story. And that goes through a revolution. Something like Shrek, for instance, it plays a bit more into the character end. So, you do some of this. But again, you're basing it off a fairy tale script. Mm-hmm. And what this show does is, although King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table is methodical and it's you could call it a little bit fairy tale. The difference is that we're believing in this production that we're off to find the Holy Grail. And we're all just a bunch of silly knights. But we don't think that. We're taking ourselves deadly seriously. And I think that great comedy always comes from believing it and searching for that quest. And this show is nothing but that the entire way. They search, they try, and they always come up short until, alas, at the end, surprise, we find the grail.
Well, I think you're 100% right. That is the best comedy. When you think about something like, I just saw a movie last year, I think it was called Fackham Hall, which is hilarious, British comedy, but almost like a Naked Gun style, right? Spoof comedy where we're making fun of this genre, but the comedy, some of the jokes are so silly that they work so well because they're delivered with the utmost seriousness. And that's the line you have to ride.
There was never anything funny about two actors laughing at each other on stage for their benefit. There's always something funny about doing it for the audience's benefit. And so long as you always remember that, comedy will always thrive. But if you've just got an inside joke between two people in a dialogue, it's not as funny. Occasionally you can get a bit of cheekiness with the stuff that we've had every day. But yeah, you have to take it seriously. And within that something beautiful happens.
Well, and just tell me about like the music of the laughter of the audience when you deliver that line where as you're coming to it, whichever it might be, whichever your favorite part of the show is, okay, we're about to get this thunderous laugh, hopefully, from this audience. And you have that anticipation in your mind. When you stand there and have that pregnant pause for a moment for the audience to be able to roar in their laughter and to swell, that has to be one of the great feelings of all time.
Oh, it looks like, and I can tell by the way that you're describing it, that you've experienced this. It's like surfing. You can feel it get loud, and you have to allow it to calm. And sometimes you have to catch the breath. It's like wringing out a dishcloth and then filling it back up with water, and then let's use a nicer analogy because a dishcloth's disgusting. Let's use squeezing lemon juice.
There you
right?
go.
That's what we're doing. Yeah, come on, Leo. Use something nicer. When you hear that little pocket of silence, you know that you've got them. Guess what? Because everybody's listening. And really, really, that's the key. It's making sure that they're understanding what you're saying and they're ready for the punchline, really. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of the beautiful parts of doing any comedy, or really theatre in general. And you can do that even when they're not laughing. So you can do that with people's emotions and all sorts.
Well, I think that's why theatre especially in this form. I mean, film as well, but theater in this form, I think it's just always going to be so important that people go out and to see it and to have that experience. Just a few weeks ago, my nephews, who were in the theater program at their high school, shout out to Parker and Preston, they had never experienced a live play of any kind in the theater. And we had Back to the Future, the musical, right before Spamalot here in Houston. And I said, look, this is the show to go to. You love the movie, go see this. And I cannot remember them in any other point or junction in time talking as much as they did when I asked them, what did you think of the experience? And every part of it. They even loved intermission, right? They love intermission. They love like getting this feeling of, and then the lights kind of flickered and I heard a noise and I had to go to my seat. Like, it's such a beautiful experience to go to the theater, and there's a reason why it's lasted for hundreds and thousands of years, right? Because this is a paramount experience that people need to appreciate in person.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. The most special thing about what we do as an art form is we offer an experience where you can cast aside your life, you can put away your devices, and you can just focus in and you can watch humans deliver entertainment. And you have the opportunity to be moved. And one thing that I think is always really, really special, and occasionally you feel this, and I do think it's the big reason why I do what I do, is it brings people together. You know, you can be two people that have completely different cultures, different religious beliefs, different cultural beliefs, everything. Yet for some reason, you're all laughing together in the theater. And when you walk out, you all kind of feel like you've just been in a part of somebody's home. And that's why they call it a house, a full house, you know, because we do. This is my touring home, and this is what we bring to you. So we invite you in and you get that experience. And it sounds to me like your nephew just had a bit of that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the magic of what we do. And again, you know, once upon a time, this was gladiators doing this. Now you've got Leo Roberts being in Spamalot on stage.
Well, you know what? I can't think of a better person to do it. Here's my final question for you. Again, Spamalot, Theater of the Stars at the Hobby Center here in Houston. We all have the one thing, right, that brought us in, right? That there was that one moment, the moment of spontaneity that sparked the interest for us to do whatever career path it is that we might be on, or a film, or a book, or a play. What was the one thing that you saw that made you go, okay, yeah, I'm going to be an actor. This is what I want to do?
Well, really, it started quite young for me. Actually, it wasn't entirely just the acting world, but it was definitely the singing world. I was 16 years old, was not very cool when I was a lad to be singing in front of my rugby friends at school. You know, it just wasn't something that you reveal. However, I had always done theatre in the next town over, and I had a whole friendship group where I would put on summer productions, Easter productions. Anyway, I did not take music for my what we call GCSEs, which is between the ages of 12 and 16. However, I did need to take it for my A-levels, which would get me into college. So my head of music of my school had heard me sing and went, Leo, you're gonna sing this song for the presentation evening, which was basically graduation for 3 different years. And I was terrified. And my dad was there. And my dad had never really heard me sing like that either. And I got up and I sang this song, and I couldn't believe it when I finished it. The whole place stood up in my school, and it was like this moment of going, oh, wow, it's okay to do that. Okay, well, if it's okay to do that, maybe I'm good at this, and this is where I'm going. And I think I'd known that for a while, but that was my huge confirmation. And I remember just the moment of everybody being like, wow, this is your path. So when you talk earlier about being an athlete and being in theater, I mean, I'm your real life Troy Bolton. I've been doing that my entire life. I run marathons semi-professionally at the same time that I do this. It's been my entire identity for years.
Well, I mean, it's amazing, you know, and thank you for sharing that story. I think that, you know, people hearing that, just having that inkling of belief in yourself, but also it's very important for someone to instill a belief into you, you know, in the same way that your teacher did it, in saying, you can do this. I know that you can do this. sometimes we just need that pat on the back and sometimes that shove into the proverbial deep end in order to prove to ourselves that we can do it.
For sure. You've got to have if you've got it, it will happen, but it just helps a little bit if somebody takes a chance and believes in you, for sure.
Absolutely. And sometimes you have to believe in yourself enough to know you can find the Holy Grail. It can be found throughout the journey that is
yes,
Spamalot.
Sir, preach.
Yes,
Preach.
Spamalot, Theater at the Stars, Hobby Center. He's Leo Roberts. Leo, man, I really appreciate you sharing some insight with us and chit-chatting about all things that you're working on. And congratulations on this show and all your continued success. It was a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you so much, Brad.